The actual way I became what I would call an agnostic theist was through my study of mathematics. I don't know if I ever talked to you about that, did I?
No, I don't think you did.
Well, I used to do calculus and all geometry and stuff like that, and I was pretty good at math and loved it. Studied statistics, and there's just stuff I found fascinating. Perhaps taking after my mom and dad, but I began taking a look at multidimensional geometry, and I began to realize that everything that occurs in greater dimensions and intersects cannot be discerned from lower dimensions. Cannot be. For example, if you have a sheet of paper, and this is really just a two-dimensional object in a sense. Let's pretend the piece of paper doesn't know anything about the three-dimensional world, and there's a dot on that piece of paper. The dot on that piece of paper is indistinguishable from a dot that is just a dot, or a line that's actually from a three-dimensional plane that is intersecting the paper and at that dot. Because that two-dimensional world knows nothing of the three-dimensional world, the dots are indistinguishable, and yet they are uniquely different. And by studying the geometry of, okay, what about when a four-dimensional object intersects with a three-dimensional object? Or how about a 10-dimensional object intersecting with a three-dimensional object? There would be within the three dimensions an equivalent object that would be indistinguishable. And so from this, I got to the point that in studying string theory and the concept of that we live in a multi-dimensional universe, that if there is a God and if he created this universe, he would have to be someone living outside of all of those dimensions. And therefore, anything that he did that in any manner interacted with what's going on in just our three dimensions plus time would have to be identical to anything that could naturally happen within those three dimensions plus time all by itself and be indistinguishable, and therefore the proof of God is something that is unavailable to us from the standpoint of our three dimensions plus time. And from that I came to the point that the question is fruitless, because although there may be proof, it's not available to me because I'm a three-dimensional creature who lives in time, and I don't have access to the multiple dimensions that are potential in the world of physics to really look at the universe and to observe the things that would actually be there multidimensionally. I can calculate that the possibility is that they are there, but all I can find is the three-dimensional equivalent of that residual. And so I came to the mathematical conclusion that it would be impossible to have proof of a greater dimension from within a smaller dimension. It's just mathematically impossible. And so that turned me into an agnostic. Now, as an agnostic, I also believe, because it doesn't prove that it isn't true. So I also became very comfortable with the faith that I can't prove, but I do in my life. I sense the love of God in my life. I sense his presence with me. I've been that way since I was 6 years old, and it is for me in a very authentic and a very nurturing experience, and it leaves me a believer, but also very comfortable with the fact that I can't compel this upon anybody, and I've lost the desire to do so.